And we're live. Welcome to this week's Cars and Popcorn. We're live talking about the Muppet movie, and welcome. So today we are talking with fan friction champion and odd shape and co-host of the odd shaped panel. It's Kimber Barrett. Kimber, how are you doing today?
Hello, I am doing wonderful today. We've been talking about this for a long time, and I'm really excited.
Yes, you have. I believe hounding me was the correct word pretty much every time I called in the odd shaped panel.
Sounds about right. Sounds like me.
And so we're talking about the Muppet movie today, and I'm going to start the show the way I start every show, but adding a third question here. It's so the three questions I'll ask you today, Kimber, is why you picked this movie, what's your favorite car from the movie, and this for this movie specific, who's your favorite Muppet?
Oh, okay. I picked this movie. I've always loved the Muppets. Like they've always been anything. Sorry, my brain is still fried from the fight. Anytime I'm feeling a little down, they always cheer me up. And they were meta before that was like a huge thing. And the humor is really timeless. And you get so many wonderful like special guests in movies like this, and really in anything that the Muppets do. So just because it's so happy and wonderful, and of course there are plenty of beautiful cars in this movie. Um, I have to say that it's the basic answer, but Fozzie's Studebaker that he inherits from his uncle who is hibernating. Uh, after they paint it, after the Electric Mayhem paint it, is my favorite car from the movie. Um, there it is. But my runner up has to be the car that Statler and Waldorf actually roll up in at the beginning of the movie. Was really unique. It was I wrote it down, a 1922 Rolls Royce 4050, and they're nicknamed the Silver Ghost, I guess. And it just stood out to me because it was so unique, and I love cool looking old cars like that. So that's my favorite there. And favorite Muppet, super easy. Anyone who knows me knows it's Kermit the Frog. I have a big, giant, massive tattoo of Kermit on the whole back of my leg. Uh, he's just such a sweet, pure, wonderful character that's filled with joy. And it has to be Kermit for me. Who's your favorite Muppet?
So ever since I was a kid, I was always kind of the weird one. So I always attached myself to Gonzo. I don't know
Tom.
whether it was the weird look, but it was always Gonzo, especially since he was always trying to be like the spaceman when I was a kid. That was like one of the biggest things, Gonzo the spaceman, and then I was hugely interested in space when I was a kid.
Oh,
It
do
was
you like
Gonzo.
Muppets from Space then, or Muppets in Space? The Gonzo movie?
I remember liking it when I was young, but I haven't seen it in a while.
Nice. Yeah, Tom is over out of shot here, and when I asked you who your favorite Muppet was, he started whispering, Gonzo. It's Gonzo. He just knew you were Gonzo.
You both like wearing
Oh, I
helmets.
am. That is not inaccurate. But it's funny you mentioned the Rolls Royce, which I'm pulling up now, that they rolled up in. Back then, it had a super long name. It was like a Paul Mall Deluxe, super long 20s name. But it's back then Rolls and Royce were just coach builders. They Rolls Royce wasn't technically a car company. They just bought cars and built them up into super luxury machines. And the fun fact, we'll start off from the beginning. That is by about $200,000 the most valuable car in the movie.
Wow. It's beautiful. Like how can you not marvel at something like that? It's so like it's what you think of when you think of like a really super old car. Like that's exactly what I see, but the fancy version. And I think Rolls and Royce would be proud to have a partnership like Statler and Waldorf there associated with their car in the movie.
No doubt.
Old money. Yeah.
And fun fact, I actually misspoke there, is about $200 more valuable than the second most valuable, which is my favorite car from the movie. This scene later, but the wonderful Ford Woody wagon. It has a weird name, deluxe sedan or something, but to me, it's always the Woody wagon. And back then, the body panels were actually made of wood. It ages incredibly badly. It rots away pretty quickly because it was the 40s and they didn't know how to do things like treat the wood to handle, car things. But a really nice one actually auctioned off a few years ago for something in the realm of $247,000.
Oh wow.
And I had to keep looking between the two because the Rolls and that Woody wagon have both auctioned off at basically the same price, with the Rolls auctioning for about $200 more.
Wow. I mean, they're both gorgeous. This is an old movie, but it's by no means like as old as some of the cars in this movie, and I think that it's a unique chance to like see not only these like really old cars that are in beautiful condition here, but puppets driving them.
Yes, the puppets driving them was absolutely fantastic, and I'll, I have a feeling I know what your favorite song was, but I really loved when they were sitting there singing "Moving Right Along."
I love moving right along. I'm a Rainbow Connection girl, straight up. Like you saw my tattoo, it's Kermit playing the banjo in the swamp, just like the beginning of the movie. I have numerous like Kermit the Frogs all around my place, and they all have banjos in their hands, sitting on a log. But moving right along, like I got emotional watching it, which is so corny, but I love the Muppets so much, and it's just like the sweetest dose of nostalgia anytime I watch something like this Muppet movie, the original one, and that song is just so happy and so fun, and I love the duet between Fozzie and Kermit. And one of my favorite bands, the Alkaline Trio, actually has a cover of "Moving Right Along" that is awesome and fun. So yeah, I'm right there with you. That's definitely by far my second favorite song in the movie.
No doubt, and that, I mean, the Rainbow song was what kind of kicked off the movie, because then he had the interaction with the Hollywood agent, whatever his name was, the Hollywood agent, and he that kicked off what I completely forgot was a road trip movie. I
Oh
love
yeah,
road trip movies.
it's the best road trip movie in my opinion. Like I would love to fight that. They did in the championship a road trip movie round, but I wasn't in it. I would have fought this movie in a heartbeat. Um, like I'm glad they started with Rainbow Connection because it is like the best way. You have Kermit singled out by himself, and it's always like it's nice when you get at the end of the movie kind of like a reprise of Rainbow Connection with all the Muppets. That's classic. That's what I think of when I think of the Muppets. I literally, at me and Tom's wedding, want to walk down the aisle to an instrumental of Rainbow Connection. It's my favorite song. It's really beautiful.
I don't think anyone would argue with that. It was a beautiful song line, and this kind of bottle episode style movie where you put away the fact that all these Muppets knew each other in the TV show before, that the movie was just its own thing and its own separate story. Ozzy had no idea who Kermit was. They were just a dude he met at a bar.
Yeah, I loved that scene too. There were so many great cameos in this movie, and I fought for young Frankenstein today, and it's so funny. Like I'm rewatching the movie, and I'm like, holy crap, that's Madeline Kahn from Young Frankenstein. And then like we later get Mel Brooks himself too. But the bar scene is when you really start to get into like the cameos and stuff, and it's just so much fun the whole time.
I was looking at the cast list, and you get so many of the, I'll call them Mel Brooks regulars in this movie, and I kept seeing it as the movie was going on. I'm like, that's I see that I've seen them in Mel Brooks movies. And it just had that feel of a Mel Brooks comedy.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have a favorite cameo in the movie?
Hmm. I mean, I kind of knew it was coming as I was looking at the cast list beforehand, but even if I didn't, uh, Richard Pryor when he was
Nice.
selling
Good
when he was
one.
selling Gonzo and his chicken the balloon.
Yeah.
Why don't you just have all of them?
Well, we knew how that was going to go if you're a Muppets fan. Not well. I also really love the Steve Martin cameo as the like disgruntled waiter. He's really funny, and I always love him with Kermit. They're both banjo players, accomplished banjo players, and I think he's like a perfect fit for Muppets, and that he really added a lot to like this first date sequence with Miss Piggy, who I'm not a fan of.
And I had to look that up. By the way, I'm also not a Piggy fan. I've disliked her since I was a kid, but I had to
Yes,
look it up, and I had to look it up when Kermit mentioned how much they paid for the wine. I'm like, I wonder how much that would be in now money. And it was about a $3 bottle of wine.
still
So
not
I
great.
so kind of understand why you can kind of puts into context of how annoyed Steve Martin was having to do all those fancy wine tastings for this $3 bottle of wine.
Yeah, it's so good. Like I could go watch it again right now. And I know before we started the show, you mentioned to me that you're gonna watch the Jason Segel one, and I do think the Jason Segel Muppet movie is the one that's the most similar to this Muppet movie because it also has like kind of like a road trippy element to it and like a Muppets reuniting element to it. So I think it's going to be so fun for you to watch that after you just rewatch this one, and I can't wait to hear what you think of it.
I'm really excited for that one because I'm as I mentioned to you, I'm a huge Jason Segel fan, and I the Muppets were one of those things that I really loved as a kid, but for one reason or another, I haven't really seen much Muppet for a long time until about a year or two ago when I popped on the Muppet Christmas Carol because I was binging Christmas movies and kind of got me back into them. And now this whole watching the Muppet movie again might have just gone full throttle there.
Yes, that's so exciting for me to hear. You should check out the show they did. They tried a couple years ago. I really enjoyed it. It was more of like an adult Muppet show, kind of filmed in the style of The Office or something, where it's like very like fake documentary type style, and talking to the camera and stuff. Uh, but Muppet Christmas Carol, like I kind of hate myself for not thinking of that when I was doing the fan friction fight earlier because I literally watch that movie every Christmas. Tom has watched it for several years now. I like to watch it on the night before Christmas because One More Sleep Till Christmas is my favorite musical number in that one. But they're just, it's pure joy. You know what I'm saying? It's like sugar for your eyes. It's just like such a treat and so like chill and again like to overuse the word nostalgia, but it reeks of nostalgia for me. It is my childhood and I love it so much.
And frankly, it's one of the better retellings of A Christmas Carol. And I've seen the Patrick Stewart one.
Yeah, because it adds so much to it. Like Henson puppets are gorgeous and timeless. Like it's really surprising how good that the Muppet movie looks right now, like watching it yesterday again before we did this. It's beautiful still. And a lot of that is due to like the design of these characters and the execution of these characters that the Henson Studios did. They're perfect looking. Like I don't even know. I can't say enough about how great these all are.
It's one of those things that it's like a really well done movie with practical effects. It's one of those things that, if done right, can hold up over time. And it does look like something you could produce now as a kids movie, as a kids show, and I think kids would still be able to appreciate it just like they'd be able to appreciate the 2011 Muppet movie. It would just be filled with weird old cars.
Yeah, and I think that's like almost the best thing about it is like Jason Segel made this great Muppet movie and they did a sequel to it that wasn't as good, but hopefully it will like make kids excited and then they can go back and check out all this great history that the Muppets have and again because it is so timeless, I think that they could really enjoy it equally as much as a movie that's coming out today, you know? And the
Exactly,
cars are amazing.
exactly. And jumping into kind of the kickoff point of our story, as Kermit and as Kermit and Fozzie started to shove off, and I believe I posted put up the Studebaker earlier, which was in rough shape, but another one of those really cool, weird old cars that people might not have thought too much of back in 1979. But in 2017, that would be something that it would be new, it would be interesting, it would be something that even in that condition, I feel like people would stop and turn their head at.
Oh, absolutely. I love the kind of like old patina to it. I feel like it has its own special kind of charm. And I love the line I saw someone quoted on your tweet, a bear in his natural habitat, a Studebaker. Like it's so iconic. Everybody, that's the one car that I think that everyone will remember the name of by the end of the movie. Uh, it's a great thing. And then I love the paint job. How did you feel about the paint job?
I thought the paint job was a great bit of comedy, especially because of after they painted it, they they said, "Oh, they'll never notice you now, or they'll never recognize you now." And it was funny watching the scene right after when they see Kermit and Fozzie driving by, and he's like, "Well, I didn't. Let me know if you see a bear and a frog driving a rusty old Studebaker. I see a bear and a frog driving a rainbow Studebaker." They just paused for a minute. It was a great comedy
It's
bit.
you gotta love the
It kind of
aesthetic that the Electric Mayhem put on the car too. Like it's so perfect for how that band is and like how their bus looks and stuff. Like it's perfect.
it's fantastic, and it kind of reminds me of the old Grand Theft Auto games where you're running from the cops, and then you pull into the paint shop. They paint your car a different color, and all of a sudden, cops have no idea who you are.
If they
It's
did a Muppets Grand Theft Auto, I'd play it in a heartbeat.
that would be one of the weirdest crossovers ever.
I like it.
But the reason they were running, and I'll pull up another car on the list here, was because they were being chased by forgetting his name at the moment.
Hopper.
Hopper, yes, it's Hopper trying to get Kermit to star in his commercial, which I had to double take for a moment of the quote of the offer he was given. I think he was offering $500 a year,
Yeah.
which in today's money is like 1,500
Yeah,
a
I think he
year.
was like the point was that he wasn't offering him very much. That was like kind of the joke. But it's weird because Hopper kind of starts out, he sees him dancing on stage at the bar, and he really wants him to be the like mascot for his Frog Legs restaurant, which I think is hilarious with like the huge frog leg like arches almost. And then, but later on, he just kind of wants to murder Kermit. It gets really strange with that.
It does get really weird, and you'll see as I'm presenting right now the black Cadillac that he was driving. It's old Cadillac Fleetwood, which, by the way, Cadillac Fleetwood and Eldorado seems to be one of the most used cars in movies because it seems to come up every damn time I do this show. It's really weird. It,
Well, look at that thing.
it's
It's cool. It looks like a
it's
Batmobile.
it's super cool and it's super intimidating, which that's actually not too far away from a Batmobile considering an old Buick was used for that, but that's for another show. But but yeah, it's before the days of the bad guy was a tailgating black SUV. They were always in some cool black Cadillac or black car. Yeah, that was kind of weird how later in the movie he was basically trying to murder Kermit and eventually try to cook him. I think he was trying to serve him.
It did get a little dark, like in places. I feel like some of the jokes that are made in that movie would not like fly nowadays. And I think the like little there was like a little cutout of like a frog that looked like Kermit and the guy's like shooting it in the heart and stuff. Like I don't know if they would put that into a kids movie as much now.
Oh no, this was rated G, by the way. So this was
Wow.
another example. This is another example of this was the 70s, so the rating system was not as stringent as they are now. Planet of the Apes was G back then. That was certainly not a G movie, but
No, I don't think this one was either. I would definitely put it at PG.
but to be fair, I think we do kind of get a little sensitive about things like that because when I was a little kid, a lot of those jokes probably would have flown over my head, and I would have
Hmm.
had no idea about them anyway. So I could understand the G rating.
Fair enough.
And, and building on that Cadillac, I did want to jump quickly into the feature that I've been trying that Eric named, but I can't remember it unfortunately, where I replace a car. So I'm not going to touch the Studebaker. Don't worry. Would never think about doing that. But the Cadillac that he was driving is super cliched. It's a beautiful looking car, but I found from that very time period a car that might do a more interesting job. And it's the old '59 Lincoln Continental. Look at that
That's
thing.
cool.
I mean,
That's a
those
boat.
I it's a boat, as a lot of '70s luxury cars were. Just look at those angry headlights, the sweet Lincoln hood ornament. The Lincoln Continental was really cool as when it was first introduced. It's really lame now, and I hate it. But back in the day, this thing would have been really cool for him to be driving.
Yeah, my dad actually drove a Lincoln Continental when I was a kid, like an old Lincoln Continental. It wasn't that sweet. That car kind of looks like if the Cadillac had a baby with the car from Supernatural.
Which, by the way, made an appearance. It did make an appearance in this movie. It wasn't exactly a '67 Impala, but there was a '68 in the used car lot.
Tom actually pointed that out to me. So, yeah, we noticed that. It's all coming together.
Yes, Cal reminded me it was car swap. Car swap. I need to write that down so I remember it next time. But yes, I put a Conti in that place. Was what vintage Continental? I'm curious. Was it like a '70s one?
I don't know if it was that old. It might have been early 80s, maybe. I know that the thing was like pretty deluxe. Like it was pretty comfortable to be inside that car. He drove the thing until he got into a car accident and it got totaled eventually. But I remember like I drove across the country with my dad in that car. We had our own road trip.
And so if an early '80s Continental got totaled, I would hate to see the other car. The other car must have been destroyed.
Probably. I'll have to ask him what how old that car was and I'll send you a private message to confirm.
Oh, I did pull up a Studebaker in a slightly nicer condition. I will show that off now.
Ooh,
How
curious.
cool that car could be. There we are.
Oh,
So
wow.
so the Studebaker back when it was brand new. I have no idea what this center thing is doing. I wish I knew. I did not take a moment to look that up, but this this car in its prime was really cool, and this was back in the day when there were a bunch of different automakers. Uh, Fun fact about the Studebaker that I looked up as I was looking into the Studebaker as a car. So Studebaker was bought out in '54 by Packard, and when they both went under a couple years later because basically Ford and GM were fighting for car sales, so all the smaller companies were kind of being left out. So those two got got together and they tried and failed. But when Packard Studebaker folded, they returned the Connor Avenue assembly plant to Chrysler, who demolished it and built a new assembly plant in 66, which all 30 years later built my favorite car of all time,
Ooh,
Dodge Viper.
nice.
So really roundabout story, but in a
Right.
way, Studebaker has given us the Dodge Viper.
Interesting. I did not know that. Yeah, that thing looks cool new. I don't think I've ever seen a picture of a Studebaker. I just really know the one from the Muppet movies, so that's interesting. It looks like a plane or something, like plane inspired. Why don't they Disney animate cars like that for their Cars movies? That thing looks like a cute little character.
I mean, they kind of did for Doc Hudson. Doc Hudson was a 50s vintage car,
All
so
right.
that was close enough, I think. I
Okay. Fair enough.
picture of him, but but yeah, that's. I mean, old 50s cars do lend themselves well to animation. I think Toy Story did it a little bit.
Hmm.
Yes, Billy, Hudson Hornet. Billy in the chat was thrown out. Doc Hudson. I think he's just
Nice.
jumpy because he wanted to join trivia today. So
He just
he's.
wants to beat me because I am terrible at the trivia for stuff like this. My memory is so bad. I wanted to ask you, what did you think about the car that the salesman tried to offer them at the car lot?
Stand by a moment.
I have it written down as it's a 65 VW sedan.
And I think that's what IMCDV called it, but it's a beetle to everyone in the known world. That is a beetle, and you can kind of see in the picture when you first see him that the left fender is completely detached. They're really setting up that scene, and well, the classic beetle does have an element of coolness to it. A classic Beetle in that condition wouldn't be worth 2,000 today, let alone back in 1979. And that's
That thing's
saying
putting
something
the beat in
since,
Beetle.
I mean, classic Beetles have shot up in value a little bit, but uh, yeah. And plus, there was a bunch of they they wanted something bigger, and yet the guy offered them a Beetle. But that used car lot, I think, is going to start me on a small tangent here because there were a lot of really cool cars in that lot because it was the 70s. So cars that look cool today were fairly normal back then. Here you had a Dodge Coronet chilling over here in the back of the used car lot. Is that 600 or yeah, 600? That would have been a really cool car for them to pick up. You had a Pontiac Firebird here with, I believe, there was a Ford Galaxy back there. That was later on,
Oops.
but yeah, there were a lot of cool cars. I think I saw a Plymouth GTX somewhere around there, and that was it was a fairly normal car lot for that time, I'm sure, but really cool now.
Yeah, I was actually really excited when I was rewatching the movie because I remembered that there were some cool cars in the movie, but I'm like, this is a cool car bonanza. Like, I had no idea that there were so many memorable cars in this movie. And like you said, a lot of that is just the passage of time, taking normal cars to now being quite cool old cars, you know?
And especially since back then it was 1979, so those 50s cars were a little more plentiful. And these days, if you see a 50s car driving down the street, it's cool,
Yeah.
it's different because they made a whole. They were in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. They went crazy with styling. You saw it with the massive fins of the Cadillac. You see it with all the lines of the Studebaker. They went crazy with styling.
Yeah, I think that they look really cool like that. I always like to see the old cars. I particularly like old trucks. I'm not a truck person, but when people have like very old, cool looking trucks, it's very exciting to me. There's a lot around here.
No doubt. And speaking of old cool trucks, that's when I'm going to quickly segue into Gonzo rolling up in his beat up old Citroen because he's Gonzo and that's freaking weird. So he rolls up in this weird truck that he has set up for plumbing. I think there's some buckets here on the grill for some reason. There's a Gonzo made of I, I guess brass, kitchen or bathroom stuff. But that's classic Gonzo to show up in a Citroen truck, which which fully restored is actually again another thing that would be really weird and cool. Look at the tire sitting on the hood. That was something that the French did that should never be done again. But it's weird and interesting.
Again, it looks like it has like a little happy face. All these cars are so like have so much character. They really fit the movie.
Yep, that's and that was kind of the theme of like old European cars and old 50s cars. They did have a happy design. A lot of modern cars are kind of angry in styling, and that's a style choice because of what we as people want, I guess. But back in this day, they were all super happy. And I don't know about you, but when they rolled in looking to trade in cars, I immediately saw the Woody in the back of that lot, and I said, "Dude, buy the Woody, please."
I don't it's hard for me to say because like I know they're gonna buy the Woody. I have like since childhood known this, so I might be influenced. I'd be like, hey, go buy the supernatural car. That'd be switching it up. But I see Billy in the chat said we should all also travel by map. If I could have any superhero power in the whole world, like if any power, right? I would want it to be traveling by map. It would be so efficient and like useful to have that, especially because I don't know how to drive. Like traveling by map sounds like the most amazing thing. You just get in the car and you're there.
So are we talking fast travel? Is that the superpower you want? Like pick a point on a map and you fast travel there?
The Muppets travel by map, which means that they get in the car and then it pans out and you see like a map and then it's like the dotted line on the map and the car going and then you're just there. So that's what I mean exactly.
Fair enough. I was about to say that when I was a kid, I was in charge of the map when my dad and I would go on road trips. So I thought that's what you meant, and I was about to say yes, I have in fact traveled by map. I was the map guy.
Nope, I mean the full-blown Muppets time-saving device in films where they pan out and there's the map and then they're there. Which is funny because
I feel
that's
like
like the
that's not.
opposite of moving right along. In moving right along, they're kind of ironically going all kinds of places that they're not supposed to be.
Yes, I believe they end up in Saskatchewan while it was
Yeah.
snowing at one point. So
Let me see if I
let
wrote
me
down.
check and see if anyone. I'm looking through my notes here to see if I'm forgetting anything. But I actually did not write down the car from Miss Piggy's fantasy, but that was another fairly valuable car at this point because it was from I believe the 30s.
Oh wow. I
So
just
so
tune out
again,
when she's around. She's the worst.
yeah, she kind of is. It's I I was never a fan of her when I was a kid because Kermit was awesome and Piggy was just the Brian brought it up on Twitter, the abusive one. So
Yeah.
I never connected with Piggy. She was just obnoxious and loudmouth, and I was neither of those things, so I could not relate to Piggy at all.
Uh-oh. You froze for a second. But yeah, no, she even like in this movie when she tries to have like she has like the fight scene when she's like saving him from Mel Brooks's evil doctor type character who wants to put the electric chair thing going on him. Like she makes everything about her. Like it's never about him. And like while I think that he's great for her, I think that he could do so much better. And they actually did give him a different love interest on the TV show. And I was a big fan of her a lot. Ashley's talking about Piggy's the worst. Agreed.
I have not seen the this Denise. I remember when they announced that Denise was going to be with Kermit. I remember it being a pretty big controversy, and I remember seeing it. And I had initially noticed the Natalie Dormer thing, but forgot about it. But yeah, the Kermit upgraded there.
For
I
sure.
don't know.
Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people like that was a hard pill to swallow for people because it's always been Piggy and Kermit together, and I think that it might have contributed to why the TV show didn't get enough ratings to keep it going, which again is really unfortunate because it was kind of a hidden gem and I really appreciated it a lot. But I liked Denise so much, and it was really refreshing to finally get him away from this terrible character because Piggy is like I have nothing good to say about her really.
So was Denise nicer to Kermit than Piggy was? I know that's not a high bar to clear, but was
She's
she?
awesome. She's really sweet and she's really nice and like a much better match for him. She was much better.
Because you're right. Kermit is kind of like that sweet, quiet guy that you see from classic '70s movies. He's the yeah, he's the quiet, sweet guy.
He's amazing. Like in the beginning of the movie, the guy who approaches him, I think it's Dom DeLuise, is like he hears him singing Rainbow Connection. He's like, "Oh, you could be famous," and Kermit has no interest in being famous. And then Dom DeLuise is like, "You could make millions of people happy." And that's why he started his journey. And I feel like that 100% says it all about Kermit. Like he's not interested in being a huge star. He just wants to make everybody happy.
Exactly. That was a statement that stood out. And by the way, Dom DeLuise is amazing, and he was amazing in this movie. But yeah, that's Kermit. He was he was motivated not by the fame, but by yes, making people happy and performing. Just like kind of like how Fozzie is as well, which is why those two are best of friends.
I think Fozzie would like to be famous too. Um, he's Fozzie's great. Fozzie reminds me of Tom sometimes, my Tom. Like I was watching the movie and I would just like look at Tom when Fozzie would say some of the stuff he was saying.
What was this? I was trying to think of the sailor joke for a moment, but just but it was because there was nothing funny about everybody liked him, and there was nothing funny about him at all. I remember the punchline.
I liked their little dance routine together in the bar too. I think they're quite a pair, Fozzie and Kermit.
Yes, and Kermit saved Fozzie from his bombing comedy act with that dance.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know if the crowd loved it, but I liked it. Oh, Billy says he relates to Fozzie the most as well.
I can see that. Billy seems to be the comedy guy, so I can see Billy being a Fozzie, just
I'm
like
an
how
Uncle Deadly. Do you know Uncle
you're what?
Deadly?
I'm blanking right now.
Okay, if you guys don't know who Uncle Deadly is, please Google it and look at him really quick and you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. He's like the villainous puppet, and Uncle Deadly actually has a role to play in the Jason Segel movie, so you'll be seeing him there. But that's totally me, like the spooky Muppet, and he's been like a sidekick to Vincent Price when Vincent Price has done stuff with the Muppets, like calling him master and like being his little henchman. I love that puppet. He's by far my favorite. I like Pepe the King Prawn too. I relate to him.
I just googled Uncle Deadly, and yep, that dude's awesome.
Yep, that's my guy.
I also have to give props to Sweetums from this movie because he was fantastic, and Jack not named Jack Job.
Yeah. You gotta love him because he like disappears and then you kind of forget about him being in it and then he reappears again at the end.
Well, he kept reappearing, just just
Yeah, you're right.
intermittently. He kept appearing as they invited him. He goes to get his stuff, and then they bail on him.
He has his big moment at the end though, where he was like, "Hey," he like bursts through. Oh, they're showing love to Animal in the chat, Swedish Chef. I love all of these characters. I really like Beaker and Bunsen, like all of them. Big fan.
And big shout out to Animal because Animal is my dad's favorite Muppet, and my dad was the one who got me into Muppets, as he also got me into movies when I was a kid. But Animal was my dad's favorite.
Well, your dad is clearly a man of taste. I'm a Dr. Teeth fan myself. I've always wanted to cosplay as Dr. Teeth and Candace as Janice, so we will do that someday. But yeah, I love Electric Mayhem. They're a great addition to the whole thing.
All right. So it looks like no one else has stepped up other than Billy. So is there anything else you wanted to talk about before I go and get Billy into the chat?
No, just thank you so much for talking with me about the Muppet movie, and I'm really glad that you enjoyed rewatching it. If anything, it was worth that. And again, let me know how the Jason Segel one goes for you. I'm really curious to see what you think of it.
And, and thank you for bringing this up because that was or bringing up the Muppets movie. So that was a fantastic trip down memory lane, and it was such a pleasant movie. It it really brightened my day yesterday watching that movie because it was just so
Oh.
damn pleasant.
Right? I'm so happy to hear that. That's exactly how I feel when I watch the Muppets, and hopefully you had your fill of delightful old cars too, because this movie definitely delivers that. We can't forget that part.
It was fantastic. I keep talking about that Woody because it is absolutely amazing. And I Billy, if you can hear me in the chat, please uh, message me your email because I have lost it.
I think everyone else is just scared because your trivia is famously difficult. We still want that Riddler costume from you. I think that'd be perfect.
I I mean I could show up in the Jim Carrey Riddler suit. Not I'm not discounting that.
I could see you in the classy, like the Gotham Riddler. A bit of classy style from the Riddler.
Are we talking Gotham the TV show?
Yeah.
I mean, if
He's the
anything,
best part of the whole show.
I would argue that what was his name? Jared, the kid that was kind of the Joker. That was fantastic.
Yeah, Jerome.
Jerome. That
Yes.
was that was my favorite. And when he went away, I kind of stopped watching Gotham. There we go. There's Billy.
See, Cal's talking about how he knows that I love the Gotham Riddler. That dude is bae. I write him on Twitter like, you're awesome every time I watch the show.
If if anything, I could also do classic '66 Riddler, which
There you go.
fantastic green suit and that hat.
I could see it. I could definitely see it. Chase likes the Penguin. Now they're just on a tangent in the side about Gotham. Sorry about that.
Eh, it happens. I watched that show for a solid season and a half. Then when Jerome went away, my interest completely died.
Did you see when he came back or whatever? Yeah.
I saw that he came back, but I think it was like a season and a half later or something, and I looked at it like, and I do not have time to catch up.
Just watch the one episode. It's actually really cool when he comes back. You know enough about the characters to get the gist. They're doing like Court Owl stuff nowadays.
That's fair, and I guess that is part of the fun of Gotham, seeing seeing all the references they make. Like, hey, I know that thing.
Yeah.
This isn't as cool as it would be if they were adults, but I know that thing.
Nice.
I know we've
Billy, did,
gotten on a Gotham. What?
did Billy send you his email yet? I see him in the chat again.
Yep, I've posted the invite, so hopefully he should be jumping in soon.
Are you sure he doesn't want to debate me instead? Because I'm ready for that. What's the best car from Muppet movie? Okay, let's go.
I mean, I'm not going to stop you. If Billy wants to, I will happily watch you two debate the best car in the Muppet movie for a minute or two. It's not You're not going to debate the questions that way, but it would sure be fun.
You're like, there's no escape, but you can do extra.
Fighting Billy again.
Uh-oh.
Like, because he's afraid of you. You mentioned debate. I hear a car.
Yeah, we live on Main Street and the walls are paper thin, so anytime that somebody's talking outside or driving by, we can hear all of that. They can probably hear this in the streets of Liberty, New York right now, this conversation.
Hey, there he is.
Yay! Finally worked. I had to restart my computer. It wouldn't let me join. But hey, Champ and other Tom. How are you guys doing?
He's original Tom on this show. This is his show.
Okay, good point.
But
All right, Kimber brought this up. So, Billy and Kimber, what's the best car from the Muppet movie? Go.
Oh, I'm gonna have to disappoint both of you, and I've never actually seen the Muppet movie.
Oh no!
I know.
Next time. Well, then hopefully that will help me in trivia today. Have you been paying attention? I know that's key in his trivia.
I've done my best. Let's just see if I can get one, I'll be happy.
Me too. We'll see.
I think you did do an over at one point, Billy. So yes, it would be an improvement.
Damn.
It's okay, Billy. I bring that up for everyone that joins in trivia, so it makes them feel a little bit better about themselves or confident about moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so since Billy stepped up, you're going to get the first question, which attention is key. What is the most valuable car in the movie?
I believe it's the Rolls Royce.
Is in fact the Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost.
Yes.
And of course driven by Stately and Waldorf.
Waldorf and Statler. I've been told I look like one of those guys. Just it wasn't specified which one, but I'm just like, really?
I've been told me and Candace act like those guys when we're together.
That's awesome.
I could see maybe a bit of Waldorf. I just brought up the picture.
Come on. Okay.
What? You're the one that brought it up. I was kind of curious after that. So
I know. I was also like, yeah, he's not wrong.
It's not a bad thing. Those dudes are awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Definitely.
So moving on to Kimber. Let's see. What do I got here?
I'm prepared to know none of these. I knew the one you asked Billy. Give Billy all the easy ones, I guess.
The one easy one.
Well, this should be an easy one for you. When Studebaker Packard folded, they returned their Connor Avenue plant to Chrysler, who demolished and later built what car on that street?
Your favorite one. It's got wheels. There it is. It's silver in that one. Stop. That's cheating, Tom.
I know the name, but I'm not going to say it.
Well, Tom, I feel like it's a Viper because Tom is making snake noises, but that's cheating, so it doesn't count.
I mean, are you...
He's sitting in the room going at me.
He's trying to tell you something, maybe.
I mean, are you forfeiting the point, or is that your answer?
That's my answer, but I'm also saying it's not a fair point. If anything, that's a Tom Bennis point. He gets another one.
I hear him in the back.
Tom, you're already in line to get a free car. Tom's already our co-trivia champion, so no, Tom, that does not count.
Stop.
All right. Next is Billy. I'm going to try and give you something a little less easy.
Just go for it, man. Rip the Band-Aid off.
Okay, we're just going to go with the classic cars and popcorn question. How many cylinders did the engine of the Studebaker Fozzie Drove have?
Give me a second. I'm going to guess 6.
Close. Answer would be 8.
Fuck.
All right. Back to Kimber. This one should be a little bit easier, I hope. What French automaker produced Gonzo's car?
Oh my god, I literally have every single car from the whole movie written down here except for Gonzo's car. I don't know.
Billy, do you know? You can steal the point.
Damn it. I actually don't know. I do have a quick thing that my friend actually got to hold and like operate the Gonzo puppet, and
That's cool.
he got his Gonzo Pez dispenser signed by the puppeteer, and
What?
yeah, I was super jealous of him. I'm like, dude.
That's amazing. I love Gonzo.
Yeah.
Anyway. Are you stealing it? Does he get a chance to steal it now?
I don't know. I mean, your guess is as good as mine.
It's Citroen, by the way. Okay. Okay, back to Billy. Trying to go easy here, but it's not an easy task for me here. My trivia is just too damn hard for my own good. So, in 2002, the Muppets made their way onto cars in what American racing series?
In what American racing series? In 2002?
Yep.
I'm just going to go for it since you're just a huge, huge fan of this. Top Gear. I mean, that'd be awesome if it didn't happen, but it would be cool if it did.
It did not happen, and Top Gear, that's also very unfortunate. But also, Top Gear is not a racing series.
That's true.
I mean, technically, it's a car show, but
I mean, they do drive the cars.
This is true. Kimber, would you like a chance to steal?
Is NASCAR a thing? NASCAR
is a thing.
NASCAR is a thing, and they did make their way onto NASCAR Cup cars. So,
I'm from Florida. I've heard about NASCAR. I got to point out in the chat that Cal pointed out that we all have Power Ranger names.
Oh shit, we do have Power Ranger names. And I got my favorite color, so that's even.
Yeah. Tom was the White Ranger, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the green
Tom.
and then the white.
Yes.
Hey now.
Both Toms.
Let's see. So since Kimber stole that point, we were right back to Billy.
Yeah.
Okay, Billy, you got one so far, so you're doing all right.
Everybody gets one, or they should.
Everybody gets one. No, everybody does not get one.
They should.
No.
They should, just for showing up.
Great.
gave you an easy question, so that's that's the closest you're going to get to getting a free one.
It's just like high school all over again. Yeah, whatever. Whenever there was a pop quiz, I would just get like one. I mean, I was terrible at them.
All right, so this was another attention important question. When Studebaker began to lose sales, what small auto company purchased them?
Small auto company. Now I'm just thinking of the big companies now. I'm trying to really think about this. Because I was also paying attention a lot to just the Muppet love and how apparently now Tom and I have a shared love of Fozzie Bear.
Waka waka. I know it.
I can't. I have no idea. I feel like I should know it though.
She's out of here.
Down, Tom. You're already winning. Kimber, would you like to steal?
Is it GM? I thought I heard you say a thing, but I don't remember right.
I did say a thing about GM, but it was because Tom, just say it. I can hear you about to explode back there.
What?
It's Peckard, right? Or not Peckard. How do you pronounce it?
I don't know. I didn't know the answer.
He's saying
You
Packard.
tell me. You're the guy with the cards. This guy has all the answers on the card.
If Tom was yelling Packard, and it is in fact Packard.
You're doing so good.
I doubted myself. Well, he also said it like 2 questions ago.
I know. I'm like, my memory is terrible.
You already put up a good fight today.
Yeah, and I'm fried. That was a lot. I like woke up and put makeup on and did that fight this morning. Holy smokes.
Yep. And every time I play on Gamer Grudge or Fan Fiction, I know the feeling.
Yeah.
I never get to
All right.
because I'm terrible. But you know, it's cool. It's cool. And also, you got to talk with Alicia Malone, which totally not jealous, by the way.
Yeah, she was awesome.
No, you're being too hard on yourself, by the way, Billy. You're a fine fighter, sir.
Okay.
Chin up, Billy, buddy.
All right. All right, Kimber. Since I asked Billy one of these, I'll ask you one as well. How many cylinders did Doc Hopper's Cadillac have?
864. No, I don't know. 6. I don't know these things. What's a cylinder? That's what I say.
He said 6.
No, it was Billy said 6. It was actually 8.
Son of a bitch! It's always 6 through 8. I know that.
Always
much.
8.
There's 10s.
It's a very common theme.
Yeah.
And since you brought that up, you're making me think I should have a model of an engine like right here. So I think I might actually get that for next year. They make
Nice.
they make those cool electric models where you flip a switch and it actually goes through the combustion phase. That'd be really cool to have now that I think about it.
Well, I'm glad I could inspire you with my wrong answers.
All right, back to Billy. So this should be an extremely easy one.
So many questions.
If I don't get this, then I'll be super shamed. Let's go for it.
So Statler and Waldorf drove a car made by what was in 1922 just a coach maker, which became one of the top luxury automakers in the world. What was the coach maker?
The coach maker? I mean, like, what kind of car was it, or?
Yes, what kind of car was it?
I want to say a Model T. Yeah.
Ooh.
Go for it, Kimber. I'm not good.
It was It was a
Conflict.
1922 Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost.
Wait a minute. What? So it was the Rolls Royce.
Yes, it was exactly the car you answered with in the first question.
I'm just like, I'm out of it today. Like, I don't know what.
It's the time change.
Yeah, it might be the time change. Also, that I didn't go to bed until like 2 a.m.
That does not help on the time change.
No. But I was off today, so I figured, what the hell.
Fair enough. Okay, so that does it with trivia today. Kimber, you got 2. Billy, you got 1. So
I win!
Yeah, go for it.
Kimber wins. 50 points to Slytherin House.
Kimber wins this. Oh. No, but you are still the champ, and I would be very, very scared if I were to face you, if ever.
Yeah, don't talk smack, Billy. Don't make me savage you on live YouTube.
You know, as if that hasn't already been happening.
Kimber's like a smoldering fire.
Stop. No.
Hey, you know
Also,
what?
Ray-
I will be new Doug, okay, Min?
now we've gone on a Thor tangent.
Yep, and I also need to print out some more pamphlets. That is very important.
Nice.
Hey, you gotta start a revolution, man.
Yeah, of course, man.
Billy is
That's pretty
cold.
good.
Alright.
That's pretty good.
Hey, man, what's up? My name's Coke. Started a revolution, but my mum and my mum's boyfriend came. I hate him.
Nice.
He was a real MVP of that movie.
Yes, he was. I love Korg.
Anyway, so Billy, so that does it for today. And Billy, since you stepped up so bravely, is there anything you'd like to plug, and where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at BBusterBill. I am finally starting to get a little bit of traction on my Dark Crystal review for the Odd Shaped blog. And yeah, it's going to be quite intense because I love the Muppets and Jim Henson like just as much as Kimber. I mean, I don't have a tattoo of Kermit the Frog on a log playing a banjo. That's pretty badass. But I love the Muppets. Even though my mom hates them, I still love you, Mom. But I can never understand that. But yeah,
Hi, Billy's mom.
she's never gonna watch this. But
Oh, I thought you were.
I'll tell her you said hi, Tom.
All right, so our current fan friction champ, Kimber, is there anything you'd like to plug right now?
Of course. Please, if you haven't watched it, I did a episode of Fan Friction earlier today over on the Tough channel with Alicia Malone guest judging, and I fought Jonathan Youngblood and Garrett McDowell, and it was a great fight. It was super fun, and I think it was one of our most entertaining ones yet. So if you haven't checked that out, please head over to the Tough channel and give that a watch. You can catch me on tons of different shows with my lovely partner and fiance, Tom Bennis, over at Odd Shape Channel. And look out for more Spacetime Rewind with Nolan Dean, Doctor Who recap show coming out soon.
All
My
right,
handles are on the bar.
I can't really see it, but I certainly hope everybody watching can.
I'm at Kimberbatch_OSP on Twitter if you want to tweet me there. Thanks for having me, Tom. That was awesome.
Absolutely, that was a blast. And so, like I said, this was the last sort of normal episode. The next two, on November 19th and December 3rd, will both be special editions. So, Tom, that means you will be getting a diecast car in the mail. Please send me your address. You and Devon. So on November 19th, I'm kind of annoyed that Billy jumped away, because Billy and I are going to be hosting a special episode of Cars and Popcorn based on Batman through the years. So we're going to be going through Batmobiles, planes, Batboats, anything Batman related. So the plan is to have a more interactive show than we normally have. So we're gonna So anyone who's interested in jumping in, please let me know. And we're hoping to have sort of an interactive show where people call in and we talk about basically everybody's favorite Batman vehicle or Batman incarnation. I think that would be really fun to celebrate the beginning of the Justice League. And since I'm such a huge Batman fan, I think it'd be fun to go over various Batmobiles. So if anyone's interested in calling in, I'd like to start getting a list going. And
We'll put both of us down for sure. We both love Batman.
Tom is just stalking
I am the
down
knight.
there. And of course, you can find me on Twitter at RoadRaider3. And before we log off, I don't think Kimber has shown her Kermit tea kettle back there. So
Oh yeah,
you should have showed that off.
a bunch of collectibles from Muppets. I'll show you this. I didn't show you this before, but I have like Star Wars,
It's weird 'cause they're brother
Muppets
and
toys, and Pez dispensers, and that's an ornament that sings Rainbow Connection. But this is by far my favorite, my Kermit the Frog Rainbow Connection teapot. You actually put the tea in his decapitated head there, and it pours out of the end of his banjo. So thank you for letting me show my cool teapot.
I had to because you showed that in the pre-show, and that was just fantastic.
Awesome.
So that does it for today. Thank you for bringing this wonderful movie back to my attention. So I had to revisit it. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun talking with you about puppets.
Awesome. I really enjoyed it too, and I'm so glad that you enjoyed the rewatch. And again, can't wait to hear what you think of the other one. So, yay.
And of course, thank you for everybody watching in the chat. Have a good day.